Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. If you're new to the show, we have two types of shows. One is the typical interview style, where we're going to learn about the guests that we have, pick their brain. And the second show is going to be where we follow along with three companies that are working on just growing right now. So I am a general contractor here in Arizona. I've got Alex von Reich with Control Analytics, and then we have Connor Teich, who is doing all things real estate. And if you've been following along with the podcast, then you guys will be familiar with him, his story. And before we jumped on the podcast, Alex mentioned that his beard was strikingly handsome, but I gotta say, looking at it in full detail, that is something to admire.
Yeah, if he uses any products, I think you're gonna have to include that, Connor, just so we know how to get a beard like yours.
It's just higher amounts of natural testosterone.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess Thaddeus and I are out of luck for that then.
Maybe that means we need to jump on TRT or something.
There you go.
Cool. All right. Before we get into the business talk for the evening, what have you guys been up to this last month?
You know, I really want to respond with not much, but it has not been it has not been that. I had my daughter was born, so small events.
Wow.
And then as soon as we put both of the car seats in our Prius, we were like, this is way too small, and ended up getting a new car. So we traded the Prius in for a VW Atlas. So it's a giant bus, and it's pretty fantastic. But yeah, those are like the two major life events. That and McKenna and I went on a date night and paid way too much money for drinks at the trophy room, if you guys have ever heard of it. It was really cool, but way too expensive. They have like a ton of it's like World War I themed. It's a speakeasy, and they just have like a ton of like M1 Grands like everywhere. It's really cool. And then they have this big wall full. Yeah. It's by Wren and Wolf, I think. It's like part of that restaurant. And so they have this big wall full of like little mailboxes, and you have to put your phone in there. And it's like an hour and a half. They cut you out. They kick you out after an hour and a half, but it's really interesting. They also have like, I think it's like 5,000 bullets hanging up as like chandeliers and stuff like that. Oh, I think you would find it as a really cool space, but the drinks are so expensive.
I don't drink, so
I know. That's why. No, but it was a really cool experience. But it was like, okay, well, that's I've been there, I've done that. I don't need to go again, kind of thing.
Yeah. How's your wife doing after having the baby?
Good. I mean, we had mother-in-law here for in state for about 3 weeks. She went home on Saturday, and then today was McKenna's full day. She had both of the kids by herself. I was working, and so she crushed it. Still recovering, but she's doing really good, and really, really proud of her. So yeah, lucky to be where we are this time around. Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Connor, what have you been up to?
I have a daughter, just turned 4 months.
Nice.
So watching her develop quickly. She rolled this past month, big
Heck
deal.
Yeah.
There we go.
Back to her stomach, and then she's starting to rotate 180 degrees on her stomach. So right. She's sitting up a little bit, getting a little mobile, but that's the biggest things in our family.
Nice.
Watching her develop and grow and continue to eat.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Things are good. Can't complain.
Is she your first?
She's our first, yeah.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, born on early Thanksgiving morning.
Oh, awesome.
Our turkey.
You don't need to give out all the details here, too. Like the social security number starts coming out.
Yeah, can I have the credit card?
Sure. I'll let you know after. Yeah, it's eventful month with her growing, and it's a lot of fun.
Sweet. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Nice.
What about you, Thaddeus? What have you been up to?
I looked at the calendar for this last month to see, like, what did I do? Because I'm sure I did something fun, and it really didn't seem like it. And then I even was texting my wife, and I was like, hey, we probably, and she was like, we need to go on a date night. I was like, yeah, I kind of looked, and we didn't do anything. So It's been a lot of work, which is good. We got, what was it, 3 podcast episodes done for the next generation in the trade series. I've got one more that we're still looking to film. Got taxes done, so that was good. And then the one really fun thing that we did do was our church had a field day. So we've got all the different church groups that got together, had like a barbecue, and then competed in like field games. And the part that I was really proud of is our church group won the tug of war tournament that we did. So that was a lot of fun.
Were you involved in that?
Yeah. It was they were doing teams of 5. No, I was we had a couple big guys in our community group, so we threw them as the anchors. And then on the last one, I was up front. And then, it was, you had to have at least one girl on your team, and you could have 4 guys, 1 girl. So it was me, my wife, and then 3 of the other guys. And the nice part was there were some big dudes on the other team, but we were very much in sync with how we were stepping together. So for the most part, like, we kind of ran through the other teams, and like, especially the last team, they were pretty built. So it was fun to take that one home.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. You guys have any plans for the summer?
No, not dying. That's it's gonna be so hot. I'm not ready for that. And then, so I have a toddler who is a year and a half, and he is the most energetic, always wants to be outside kind of kid. So especially now that he's like super mobile this year, not sure what that's gonna look like. So surviving that is my goal. However that looks like, if we need to go up to Flag and throw him in some pine trees or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and the drive's not too long too, where you can hang on for 2 hours.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I can deal with that. Or I mean, worst case scenario, you could just drive 5 hours to the ocean.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. What about you guys?
That a few times.
What are you planning on doing?
My family, we go up to Sholo over the 4th of July.
Nice.
And we haven't really talked about it, but I imagine that's still in the works. So usually about a week over the 4th, we go up.
Sholo's gorgeous.
Siblings, their kids. Yeah, really beautiful. Get out of the heat. There's a lot of grandkids. So get out of the heat and play around for a week. I'll add my daughter to the mix. Will be fun.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Sweet.
I was planning on just working this summer and not doing anything. And then my mother-in-law was planning a trip, and it's like the family. So apparently I have to go to Florida. And then
rough.
also then my father-in-law, he's got family in Michigan that he wants to see our son. So my wife is like, hey, we should go do that too. And I'm like, all right, we're doing 2 and then no more for the next 5 years. But
yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
So no work this summer. So
Yeah.
you're just playing a whole bunch of vacations.
You're on summer vacation.
That's fun.
Sabbatical. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone knows like year 2 of business, that's the best time to like just take a few months off, just really kick back.
You've made it.
You've made it, yeah. Yeah, you have revenue, you made it. Time for vacation.
Yeah.
You have money, spend money. That's how it works, right? Dave Ramsey approved.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, speaking of business, before we get into it, we got to give a shout out to our wonderful non-official sponsor, Shamrock Farms. So with Easter right around the corner, kids no longer want jelly beans, Easter eggs, any of that stuff. So how about you go to the store, buy a whole bunch of Shamrock Farms chocolate milk, and hide that in your yard for your kids to go find. Make it the Shamrock Farms chocolate milk hunt.
I just wonder, in Arizona, with our summers, how quickly that chocolate milk will just get rancid.
You can put it in the freezer.
In the container?
It'll be hot
or
chocolate
do you, like,
by the
dump
time
it out?
anyone finds it.
Why would you dump it out, Connor?
That's just a waste.
So you're
I will
hiding
say,
ports just around the yard. I like
Yeah,
it.
they have the smaller ones. I don't know
There
what
you
The
you're
go.
little
talking
ones,
about.
okay.
But like if
Kid
you're like
size,
me for
snack
my
size.
family, you'll be hiding half gallons. But yeah.
I will say I am a little disappointed. We were planning on well, two out of the three of us, Thaddeus, didn't communicate. We're planning on meeting in person, and we both had the idea separately to do the blind taste test of chocolate milk today. I want so badly to make that happen because I don't know if Thaddeus is as good as he thinks he is. I think he's going to get tripped up, but we'll find out. We'll find out.
No. I told him if we do Walmart, Fry's, Shamrock Farms, Danheisen, and then Hershey syrup and milk, I'm very confident I could tell you for sure which one is Shamrock Farms and which each different drink is pretty accurately.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know how well you knew your chocolate milk.
oh, it's
If he could be a
It's pretty
sommelier
ingrained.
for chocolate milk, he would be. If that was a thing, he would be that.
exactly. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. So, before we get too deep into what we're doing with Saito, I'm going to start with our typical numbers that we're tracking. For building materials, we got 2x4s at $385, plywood sheets at $18.28, copper at $33.28. And the reason why I really wanted to highlight these today is because the word that's been in the news the last week or two has been tariffs. And people are like, we get lumber from Canada, so our building price is going through the roof. And it's like, as of right now, no, they are holding essentially the exact same. Copper went up a little bit, but so far wood prices haven't been touched. So reason why, not really sure, just more there are going to be some companies that are using it as an excuse to bump up prices. I already know that that's happening to the window and door company that I used to work for. I was talking to them recently and they told me that some of their vendors are saying, oh, aluminum and steel is more expensive, so therefore and they're like, no, you source all your stuff from America. You're just using it as an excuse. So
Yeah.
good for them. Recap of the numbers for last month. Took in gross $56,044. And now I'm going to say this is lower than I wanted it to be, which if you've been following along, this is probably that is the highest month that we've taken in on gross numbers. But the reason why I look at it as lower than I wanted it to be is the bulk of that came from one check, and that was a deposit for a project that we're going to be spending a lot of money on materials for. So realistically, it wasn't as much money as I wanted it to be. We've got progress payments that are hitting essentially right about now or early April. And then so everything is going to be balancing out. But I kind of look at March as a lower month. So good news is, I think I already mentioned, we're stacking volume for the next couple months with projects. So hopefully the real kind of net side of that will be popping up. But looking at action steps from last month, we had a list of designers that we wanted to try and see if we could get in front of them in person. So I created a portfolio piece, and I'll see if Esther's the one who's doing the editing for the podcast now. So I'll see if Esther can put some photos of it in here. But we put it together to go like hand out, to have something real to hand to the people rather than just be like, hey, I'm some guy who can do things. And so we got that put together and then went to sit down to go deliver it to all the addresses. And as I started to look at them, a lot of them are either personal residences or like a shareable office space. So I was like, that's not going to work. So kind of switched gears. And what we're doing instead is reaching out to them through Instagram. And the kind of nice part is we created a procedure with how to do that. And it's pretty simple in terms of go like a couple of their most recent stuff, send them a message saying, hey, saw your work on this project, really liked this detail, and then ask if they are looking for more vendors. So we're trying to complement what they're doing and then go from there. And then the idea would be is we're going to email them over the portfolio that we put together and then go from there. So going into next month, I'm trying to work on offloading some of that stuff. So for the action step, it's going to be more having my sister do the reach outs through Instagram and go from there. So the other thing too is that for the people who've been following along, they know that I suck at tracking numbers, but that has also been something that I've tasked my sister with doing. So this month talked to a controller for a company, asked how they were using QuickBooks for their company, and they recommended that I get the course that QuickBooks sells. So I bought it and enrolled my sister in it to say, go get QuickBooks certified. So that was a couple $100, but I feel like it's going to be a couple $100 well spent. And then we've got all our stuff set up right now to start tracking all our profitability on our projects. So yeah, I'm really excited about where that's going right now. I think that's most of what I wanted to hit for right now. So
for Instagram reach outs, how are you finding your leads, or how are you going about tracking down leads?
what do you mean for the designers?
Yeah. How are you finding designers? Are you reaching out to anyone outside of designers or just designers right now?
Right now, we're going to start with designers and then go from there, which I guess that does remind me. So, little tangent real quickly. There's a flooring contractor that I work with. They do flooring and showers. And I talked to them about close to a year ago, and they told me that they have about 2 to 3 people that will come in and say, we're looking to do this bathroom remodel or this remodel on our house. And they approach they're like a tile and stone company, but the tile and stone company is like, we're not licensed to be a GC. We don't want to run a full project. And I was like, well, hey, just tell them that I'll do it. And then you guys automatically get the project. And so they're like, cool. Yeah. And at first, when I was going out on my own, I was like, cool, this is going to be a good way to get 2 to 3 jobs a month. And it's going to be a nice way to kickstart everything. And then for 8 months, nothing. So then in like the last 2 months, I think I've had 6 leads come from that. So I immediately went, we should probably find more companies that look like that they do a specific trade, that have a good brand presence or have been established in their sphere for a while, and then try and see if we could partner with them to say, we'll take on the management of the project and allow it for you guys to step in, handle exactly what you do, and then go from there. So after we do the designers, that's our next step with trying to identify that. And so we know it's very specific, but at this point we're looking at going, we've had 6+ leads in 2 months essentially, and we've converted 2 of those already. So it's and some of them we just talked to. 2 of them I just talked to within this last week. So we're seeing a very good conversion rate on that right now. So
yeah, probably a lot of them too. I mean, Phoenix is huge. There's probably a lot of designers or subs that do specific stuff like that. So you should have a almost endless supply of contacts.
Yeah. The hard part with this, and just like everything, is just the relationship side of it. And so it's coming in and not just being like, hey, I'm a guy who can do a thing, and it's being the trusted guy who can do the thing. So we'll see how that goes with building the relationship.
Yeah. Nice. That's a good March.
Yeah. It was busy. I was telling Alex and I were talking a little bit earlier today, and this weekend I was really frustrated with just feeling like my wheels were spinning. Then I took a look at my calendar and I was like, oh, we actually got a lot done. So.
Made some progress along with busyness, which is good.
Yeah. All right, Connor, you want to tell us about what we've got on the real estate side?
Yeah. These stats for active listings and things I got from the Cromford report, which tracks all of Maricopa County, part of Pinal County, and part of Yavapai County. So I know it's a little bit different than just Maricopa, but including these. So active listings are at 29,310 today. That's a change from last month of 27,500 and a change of last year of 20,836. So we're seeing an uptick right now of some listings. I think partly because springtime is the time when a lot of people sell their houses. You can see that January through April, May. Sales per month for this month are right at 6,980. Last month they were 6,128. Last year we're at 7,087. So this month we are seeing an increase from last month, but we're also seeing an increase of listings. So that kind of lines up.
Which, real quick, to just kind of double click on that, is looking at the sales per month for last month, and then even comparing it last year to 2 years ago. For the most part, we're within 400 sales for the month, which you can contradict me if I'm wrong here, but for me, that seems to indicate that things are still chugging along, even though we might have more stuff coming on the market.
Yeah, things seem to be steady, moving along. There's not huge increases or decreases, but it seems steady. I agree. Average days on market is relatively even. So right now it's 78 days. This is days on market for sales. So 78 days. Last month was 79 days. Last year was 67 days. So 10-day increase, but last month it's right in line. Average price of monthly sales. We are still seeing an uptick in average monthly price. So right now it's right at 630,000. Last month was 626,000, and the last year was 583,000. And this is average, and median price kind of lined up with that as well. It's an uptick as the prices go up. Averages and medians go up as well. Monthly volume this month is 4.3. Last month was 3.8, and then 1 year ago was 4.1. So we are still seeing an uptick as well from last month. Pretty
and
good
what's
uptick.
the monthly
That's
volume?
just the spring. So it's the amount total all the houses sold. Add in all the sales, and that's the volume per month. 10-year treasury, so it's based off in mortgage rates based off the 10-year treasury. Right now it's at just went up today, but it's right at 4.15. A month ago was 4.3, and a year ago was 4.15. It's kind of in line with it's if you look at a chart, it keeps going up and down. Like last September, it dropped to mid threes, ticked back up in December, and it's kind of going back down. Hopefully that starts coming down, so some mortgage rates start coming down. A mortgage rate today for someone with pretty good credit score, they're putting 20% down conventional loan. It's right at 6%. I was looking at a few companies, and that's no points, so 6% APR. And that does change based on, if it's an FHA loan or a VA loan, or you're putting 5% down, but the normal 20% or conventional 20% conventional loan, right at 6%.
Cool.
Just overall highlight of Arizona market. Things are moving along, steady, and no one knows what the future holds, but we know it's uncertain, but it is a little certain too. So to kind of recap some of our numbers, March we had 100%, right at 100% collections rate, and that's besides It probably should be 98%. I'll amend that right here. It's 98 because we did have one eviction. Besides that one. So right at 98% collections, and we did have one eviction, and we did get a judgment, which is good and bad, I guess. She did leave, didn't have to get the constable involved, so she left, and then that judgment's outstanding. And then we're under contract to buy two rental houses, and that's to replace house we sold. So we're doing a 1031. We had sold in February, and then we had some cash. We need to buy. Our goal was one house, but we got a property under contract that was less than the sales price of our 1031. So the new purchase has to be at the sales price or above to defer the whole tax. So the point of the 1031 exchange is to defer all the tax, the gain from over the years. We needed to buy a house of the same value, equal value, or greater. And the first one we got under contract, which is good. It was a rental house in Surprise. It was right at $290,000. It's a 3.2, almost 1,500 square feet. And then since it was below our sales price of $360,000, we thought we might just buy another house to fill up that 1031. So we got two rental houses under contract, and there were some hiccups with the escrow. They were from a couple of wholesalers that we have worked with before, but they're both looking like they will be delayed in closing with some title issues. One was supposed to close last Friday, had title issues, and having problems getting in contact with the third lender on the house. And then
Third lender,
yeah, on the house, third lien. And then the wholesaler had such a good price on it, the seller had to come to the closing table with money. So so that one's kind of on pause because he wants to sell a house and bring money to the table. I don't think that sellers realized how much was outstanding. I'm not sure. So we're kind of not in the dark, but getting some communication, but the seller isn't really giving much. So we're kind of put that one on pause. And the other one had kind of similar issues. We're seeing a trend now. So maybe I got to reevaluate how we're buying these things. But there's just some other title issues. There's a pre-foreclosure, some liens on it, and that one still might go through. It's supposed to close this Friday. But we'll see.
Is that pretty typical of like the rental buying process? Do you typically run into like title issues because of just how you're sourcing the rentals, or is this a pretty unique thing?
I haven't had it happen before. So with these two, we're buying from wholesalers, and they might source through a realtor, through like pre-foreclosure, or through one of those cash for keys or cash for house type deals. But we've worked with this pretty large wholesaler. We've worked with them before and haven't had this type of issue.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Normally they close on time, what they say. And I don't know. I think for some reason these two, I'm not quite sure why. So that kind of got us scrambling a little bit. And we have certain time to identify the new purchases, and we're closing on that time frame. So we have like a week left to identify, and then a few months to close. But we're like, we need to. If you don't close on one of those you identify, you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah.
So this weekend we sourcing more, and we actually are under contract to buy a third one that we believe will actually close, and then the other two will be on pause or just extend the escrow till the title issues are figured out. But it's always exciting, always fun.
Sweet.
And then March, so we have a Airbnb side of our business as well. So our total revenue for March for the Airbnbs was $27,200, and just to compare, last March was $30,700. And I attribute part of the drop to the eviction above. The rent was about $2,500. So Yeah, pretty much it.
Sweet.
Cool. And then, do you have anything that you're focusing on for this next month besides trying to get the 1031s wrapped up?
Oh, this next month, that's the biggest thing on our mind is we need to close on one of those three. That's on top of mind. We're building out a new way to source our off-market properties, so direct to sellers. So we're coming up with some software and some channels to do that. So I'm working with a guy to help set that up, so maybe we don't have these title issues in the future. But that will be some ad campaigns and mailing campaigns and sourcing some of those houses and then our buy box.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Before we jump over to Alex, I know I put in the notes and I had a question about it's tax time, and for taxes on rental properties, the reason why I became aware of this was a friend of mine has a rental, and they found out that they had to pay taxes on all the money that was collected for the rent. And so they were trying to figure out, okay, how do we offset this and how do we plan for this going forward? So wanted to pick your brain. Obviously, you guys have a bunch of doors that you've got. So how do you guys just, if you could give some general info on the tax stuff and then how you guys handle it. And then obviously we put the disclaimer, we are not accountants. This is just more, this is entertainment. From here on out, we're just entertaining people. Do not take this as gospel.
Yeah. So one of the biggest ways is through depreciation of the rental property. So I kind of built out an example. I'll give some high level numbers, but depreciation, just a general definition is, you think of a house, there's components of the house, everything wears out over time. You have your roof wears out over time, your flooring wears out over time, you need to repaint the interior, exterior. So everything wears out over time with the house. You got to replace it. So depreciation is the useful life of those items in your house. And the IRS gives you a way to offset some of that loss through depreciation. So a normal rental property depreciation schedule is you take the value of the building, and that's calculated by, I think, an accountant, your accountant. So it's different than the land value. So if you bought a rental house for, let's say, $300,000, nice Phoenix rental house, the building might be worth $250,000, and then the land value is $50,000. So you can depreciate the building over and this is just an IRS rule, I don't know why they came up with it, but 27.5 years. So you take the building value of $250,000 divided by 27.5 years, and that gets you $90,900 per year you can depreciate. And the way you depreciate it, it just becomes an expense on your P&L. So a P&L for a rental house would have your rental income, have your expenses, insurance, property taxes, maybe some repairs and maintenance, mortgage interest. So I did a little example here as well. So let's say you have a rental house, it's $1,500 of rent per month for 12 months, $18,000. Your taxes are $1,500 a year, insurance of $800 a year. So your mortgage interest is $8,000 for the year, and then your depreciation for that house would be $9,000 for the year. So if the total net income is $6,700 instead of $15,700, so it becomes an expense on your taxes for that house. Something that it's newer in the rental space is accelerated depreciation. So it's a way you can accelerate the depreciation. Instead of 27.5 years, you just briefly, you break all the items in the house down to their useful life. So like a refrigerator might be 5 years, a roof is 15 years, windows are 20 years. You break it all down, and basically you condense that 27.5 years to could be 5 or 6 years. So you get an even larger tax deduction year 1, a little smaller year 2, a little smaller year 3, and so on. So that's all used up.
Which question on that real quick?
Yeah.
When you guys go to sell the property, does that affect? Is that what you're essentially doing with the 1031s? You're avoiding trying to have to pay those taxes that you've depreciated off the property at that time?
Yeah, partly. Yeah. So
Okay.
any depreciation you've taken, you don't have to take it on your rental house. But if you do have to pay that back at the sale. That's not just free money forever. You do have to pay that back on the sale. The 1031, let's say your nice rental house that you bought for $300,000 appreciates to $350,000. Your gain is the difference between sale price and purchase price, so $50,000. So depending on your tax rate, you would pay a capital gains tax on that $50,000. And the 1031, we're moving that gain to the new house. So we sold it for $350,000. So we got a good deal and we bought a new house for $400,000. We don't pay any capital gains tax today. It's just when we sell the new rental house, and you can keep pushing that out for years and years and years. People do it for their whole lifetime. They'll do it and give the house to their kids and keep doing it. But it's a way to defer the tax to some date in the future. You will have to pay it. However, it might not be today. It might be many years in the future.
So for the depreciation, like for stuff that I'm doing, like if I've got to buy stuff in the normal course of doing business, then that's more a write-off for the income of the business. For the for some of those items that were mentioned, are those more of write-offs, or do those go into or some of them are write-offs and then some would be considered depreciation? Is that correct? And you just have to keep track of that on a P&L with your accountant?
So let's say you had insurance, property tax, repairs and maintenance. Those are all expenses. The depreciation is you just divide the building by 27.5 years.
So that would go back to that would go back to the $9,000, right? So the $9,000 is the only thing that we're having to push down the road.
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha.
$9,000 you're pushing down the road. And with the forced depreciation, just real quickly, forced depreciation, it's through a specific company who does those studies, and they have a whole really long report they draw up, and then you hand that to your accountant for the cost segregation study, the accelerated depreciation. So that's even separate from your own accountant, that they'll do a report, they'll break it up, they'll hand you that cost segregation study, and that's the accelerated depreciation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, Alex, what do you got for us?
All right. So, last month was, or this month was pretty crazy. But the main things I've been focusing on have been sales and feedback. So we went live on the alpha version of the property tax software, got a few users in there, sent out our first newsletter. So we've been doing a newsletter it's a two-step process. I've been cold calling a lot of owners, specifically in Texas and Florida, where there's a lot of property tax appeals. And typically I get about a 5% answer rate of someone who actually wants to talk to me about stuff. And if they do, I get their email, add them to a newsletter. So I sent out my first quarterly newsletter saying, hey, here's what we've got. Here's what we've built so far. We're looking for early access users. We'll give you a good deal, all that kind of stuff. So currently been building that out. I actually just recently upgraded. I was using my personal cell phone for everything, but I just switched to Zoom because Zoom actually sells phone numbers, which I didn't know until recently. And it's actually pretty dang cool. They've got a lot of different features in there. I think it's like with tax, it's $17 a month for unlimited calls nationwide. So basically, what I do now is today was truthfully, the first time that I was actually trying out this process, but it seemed to work pretty well. I get a majority of my leads from Sales Navigator in LinkedIn. I go in there, navigate through all the filters, and then add any relevant leads to a lead list. I go on their website, make sure that they're actually property managers. They do property management, asset management, deal with property taxes. Then I find a phone number, add it to my notes, and then once I have all that set up, it's helpful because Texas is 2 hours ahead, Florida is 3 hours ahead from Arizona, at least right now. So that affects a lot of things, and when I can call and when I can actually reach people. So basically, I just create this list for myself where it's just all the numbers in the notes section, and I go down one by one, highlight it. I can hit Control P, and it'll automatically dial on Zoom. Plus, Zoom has built-in recording too, so if I want to record these conversations and listen to them later, I can. It's actually really, really nice. So that's been like a cool, cheap but effective upgrade for a lot of my cold calling. And then I'm just trying to more of that. Those are the main things: is more sales, and then getting feedback from the alpha product. So continuing to build it up, make it better. I've been slowly improving my my cold call script as I've been going through. I'm starting to have a lot more fun with it. I've kind of said in the past how I really didn't like it at first, but now I'm having a lot more fun of it. Like a new line that I came up today that got a few chuckles from people is like, "Hey, let me talk to the person who has the biggest beef against property tax," and a lot of people really like that, and it disarms people pretty well. So I've been starting to enjoy that stuff a lot more. Other than that, it's more of the same. I have a little bit of I still have some analytics work from my main client in process. It's a very, very slow process, but it's moving forward step by step on my partnership program with MRI software. So that's really good. I just kind of like more of that. It's pretty unsexy at this point, but that's where I'm at.
Cool. And then are you able to select the phone number that you want to get a Texas or Florida phone number, or how'd you do that?
So they do have a lot of numbers available. You can choose your area code, and then they have a big selection. So I think I picked Houston. So I got a Houston number, and it works super great. You can do texting on it, but there's a lot of hoops you need to jump through to be able to do the texting side of things. So if that's something that's important to you, just know that, especially as a business, you have to register. I think it's like 10 LC or something like that. And there's like a huge checklist of things you need to do to be able to do texting through Zoom that way. Just so people aren't getting solicited, they know who's texting, all that kind of stuff. So, I was really surprised. I until a few weeks ago, I had no idea Zoom even offered like regular phone calls. Another little pro, I know I'm going on about, I feel like I'm doing a free ad for Zoom right now, but if you have the Zoom
while
app
we're using Google Meet, how dare
while
you?
we're using Google Meet. I mean, and I don't pay for any other Zoom products. It's literally just a phone thing. Is if you have it on your phone too, if someone just calls that number, you can answer it on your phone. Or I like it on my computer because I can use this headset when I'm calling. So it's pretty handy for a lot of that stuff. It's a great tool, and for the price, I really can't complain.
Nice.
So yeah.
And then have you had anyone use the first version of the property tax software?
Yeah, so I had one of my clients go through. They're also in commercial real estate. They filled out a couple of buildings and have used it. They haven't. I still have to check in with them. They've been super busy recently. They're closing on 2 more big commercial properties. So they, I think it's later this week that we're going to try to meet up and kind of just do a quick review session on what they like, what they want to see, that kind of stuff. So that's super helpful, and I'm really trying to design this whole thing around feedback rather than just adding features that I think are cool.
Sweet.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, cool. But enough. Hold on, I got to get to the right part. But Thaddeus, we don't want to hear your thoughts. What are the company thoughts?
All right. Tonight's company thoughts are going to be about holding a standard. So this started from a conversation I had at a family dinner, and it came up that there's a gas station here in Arizona that's pretty popular, QT, and for their they have pretty strict employee requirements in terms of dress code, if you can have tattoos revealed or not, stuff like. And there were a couple others, but the comment that was made at the table was like, you've got all these things, but like, you need to just remember at the end of the day, you're just a gas station. So, and at least the way that our family conversations are put together, like, had some pushback on that in terms of, it's like, hey, QT is putting in a lot of effort for what they're doing, but they have a cleaner, safer, and more polite gas station than anyone else in Arizona. And this is a whole chain of them. So at the end of the day, like, when we look at it, when we make comments that, oh, you're still just we're cheapening what they're doing. And the problem with that, especially, is for this company, they have a result on the other side of it. I know personally, I will go out of my way to avoid some of the gas stations to go to them. So at the end of the day, they're getting more sales out of that work that they're putting into it. And the problem is that it's, as especially for the three of us, we're trying to grow companies, and we would all love to exceed a 7-figure revenue range at some point. That's going to be beating out 95% of people. Now, if we start to have it where it's like, you're just a construction company, just a analytics company, just a real estate company, like whatever it is, that is our handicap now for bad behavior or average behavior. And the idea is that we want to be above average. And I know for Saito, especially, like, my target is to be able to hit $1 billion valuation in essentially like 2024 money. So whatever that inflates to, but that's going to be something that pushes the boundaries of what people are doing inside of construction. I think there's less than 100 construction companies that have $1 billion valuation. So that means that we need to get rid of all of the ideas of we're still just it's like, no, we're the tip of the spear in this industry. So our processes, the way that we do things, our standards are going to always be changing, because they're always moving in the direction that says, like, raise the bar. So this is something for me where it's just, I want to make sure that it's, we're just a construction company, so we can do X, Y, and Z. I don't want to let myself slide. I don't want to let the team slide. I want it to always be that if we see someone doing something in a different industry, that it's like, hey, that's how they're excelling and that's how they do it, we need to at least consider it and try and evaluate, does that make sense for our customers? Does that make sense for our market? And does it even just set ourselves apart if that's truly where we're looking to go? So, and then I even ended up I had this conversation with my sister, since now she's working for me, before I did this on here. So for me, like, this was a real company thoughts thing where it's like, I just wanted to let her know, like, hey, if you're a part of the team and the team is going this direction, I just need to let you know that this idea of we're just isn't going to fly. And if we hear anyone say that here, it's not going to fly. We're going to stop it right there. So I think short, sweet, but that's what I've got.
I think that's good. I mean, look, if you want to be one of the few, you have to be doing something different. If you're doing it just like everybody else, you're going to end up just like everybody else. So I feel like it's a good point to have.
And I feel like it's also trying to you're looking for the leaks in the culture bucket. And we talked about culture last month, but it's like, this is one of them where you start getting employees where it's like, as the team grows, it's, oh, we're just a construction company. Why do we have to dress like whatever? Why can't we have holes in our jeans? Like, we're in the field. It's like, no, you are communicating something to the clients, to the customers. You are giving them confidence in who you are when you walk in there. So then by extension, you're giving them confidence in our company. So it's, I don't want excuses for the standard being the standard. It just is. And if that's the direction the company's going, then we have to ascribe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, Connor, if you were going to say something.
No, it's a cool story about QT. I mean, I haven't really sat down and thought much about them, but I do know that they are different. You know, they're cleaner, they're nicer. I bet they're safer as well. And people notice, even if they don't have, you know, all the info about QT, you do notice there is something different about this place, even if it's subconsciously, you know, kind of like for me before 10 minutes ago. Just I know that's a nicer place, cleaner place to go to. I'll stop there and do what I need to do. So,
Yeah.
it's cool.
And I mean, I think QT does a lot of things right, that are more work overall, but worth it. I mean, like almost every single QT is also a safe space. So if there's someone in a dangerous situation and they need help, they can let any staff member at QT know, and they have like an actual safe room that will like protect people until police arrive, which is just super cool. I don't know. I think a lot about Chick-fil-A and certain Chick-fil-A is really good at setting standards. I found this out the other day. Chick-fil-A is actually the cheapest franchise to start. I think it's like $10,000 like that, but they have a less than 1% acceptance rate for new franchisees. They're purposely very intentional on which locations they open, because they're that intentional about their culture and making sure that if you go to a Chick-fil-A here in Phoenix, you're going to have a similar experience versus the same one in Colorado or in Texas or wherever. Another cool fact is they have half as many locations as KFC, but double the revenue, which is insane.
And the funny thing is, they became a social joke in terms of their hospitality and their courtesy.
And that's the best kind of joke to have.
Right. But it also goes back to, it's like, you're just a chicken sandwich restaurant. And at the end of the day, it's like, you're just a chicken sandwich restaurant until you're twice as profitable as someone else, which means you are worth a ridiculous amount more, like just in value. So if that's the game that we're playing, then it's like, okay, wait a minute, you get better service as the consumer and more money as the company. It's like, then how about we just focus on doing what they're doing, because and not ridicule for people for doing the extra work.
Yeah. So it's super interesting. Like everything about how they structure their entire company lets you know that they are so committed to making sure it's a consistent, awesome experience, and I think that's just really cool.
Yeah, that increases the lifetime value of a Chick-fil-A customer.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I go there a year, but I'm probably gonna.
I just got a
increase
notification
that over my next 60 years or 70 years.
Right.
Probably a lot of money I'll spend there.
I just got a notification in the app. It's like, oh, here's a free breakfast item. I was like, I guess I have to go to Chick-fil-A. So yeah, my wife's like, do we really need it? I was like, but it's free. She's like, it's only one thing. I was like, I know, but
it's free.
It's free.
Yeah. And I think we shouldn't also cheapen what we do. I mean, just a construction company. I mean, geez, you're putting additions on people's houses. You're redoing kitchens and showers and everything else you do. You're affecting at least one person who lives there, probably a family or several people, making the place they live a more beautiful place, maybe more structurally sound in some cases. And that's not something to even cheapen. In my business, we're providing housing in that way, rental houses with their Airbnbs. Someone comes in for vacation to visit a family member for 3 days. Well, that's their stay for those 3 days. They decided to book that place for their vacation. Maybe they go on one a year, and this is it. So we're not just that thing. We're actually affecting the people on the other end. So in your business too, Alex. I mean, you don't want to be in spreadsheets all day long. You want to have some software do it for you, so you can spend time with your family. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a customer on the other end of every interaction.
Absolutely.
And I think for me, it really just comes down to we can accidentally cheapen what we're doing. Because like you said, for me, it's like, okay, we're redoing someone's house. And so we can get focused on, hey, it just matters what it turns out like. It's like, No, this is where I go to. It's the customer experience along the way. We're going to be disrupting their life if they're living there. So it's how do you do that? And the people that are coming into their house and all right, I've got a story for this. I lost a very it was going to be a very good job, and I lost it recently because of the customer service side that I had from one of my subcontractors, and we were in pre-contract phase that we were going through. And if as we move forward, if the idea is, well, hey, like I'm just a construction worker, this is how I am, then it's like, then I'm going to find someone new, because that was a lot of money that I lost. And it wasn't, I talked to the lead prospect. The reason why they were going with someone else was not because of my price. They liked me representing as the GC. It was the subcontractor, but that could just as easily have been one of my employees. That I had an employee that gave them a bad impression, and then they either don't refer me, don't tell their friends, all that stuff. Like, we have killed any extension of the business in that direction, and there's real dollars attached on the other side. So it's not just I'm just a insert whatever trade. I'm not just a construction company. I'm not just the guy who does stuff together. It's like, no. You're more than that. You deliver an experience to the person. So when we ask you to do more, it's not just because I'm an asshole and asking for more like floof from you, or like just do better because it'll make me look better. It's like, no. You don't understand. Like, this is important because it grows all of our salaries. It grows all of our opportunities. That's money for everyone. So it's, yeah, I was a little frustrated I lost that job.
Yeah.
So. All right, let's wrap it up. Let us know where people can find you. Alex, where are you at?
Control Analytics. So control-analytics.com, or you can find me, Alex von Reich, on LinkedIn.
Connor, where can they find you?
Mostly Instagram. So Connor Teich Real Estate. It's my page.
Cool. And then our website is cytobuilding.com, and then Instagram cyto_building. So
all right. So until next time.
I hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And your work blessed.
See you, everybody.